All right, if I can have your attention, you don't have to stop eating, but we're going to get going tonight. There's a lot of information, a lot of good stuff, and I'm glad to have Pete. We know Pete well. Ashley here too. They're going to be subject that's probably near and dear to your hearts. You might not realize it, but it's near and dear to your stomachs and other parts. But we're so glad to have Ashley with us tonight. And I'm going to give her biography here. So it's Dr. Ashley Whittemore is Arizona licensed naturopathic, I didn't say that right, physician. Born and raised in southeast Louisiana, she attended Louisiana State University, where she received a Bachelor of Science in Biological Sciences and a minor in Business Administration. She then went on to receive her Doctorate of Neuropathic Medicine from Southwest College of Neuropathic Medicine in Tempe, Arizona, where she was trained as a general practitioner. Dr. Whittemore has a passion for empowering people to take control of their health and educating them how to do so. She also has a passion for advocating for the awareness and advancement of naturopathic medicine. I'll get it right. Dr. Whittemore is a private practice at Cornerstone Health Center where she works with people of a variety of conditions. And Dr. Whittemore is a founding member of the Louisiana Association of Naturopathic Physicians and currently sits on the board of directors, I won't say that again, of medicine, so I'll let you do it. I can mess that one up. As you can tell, I did good to graduate from high school. No, but anyway, and Pete's from the School of Hard Knocks. And you got not a lot of degrees. I passed a few. I didn't make it too much, but what he has learned, he's taught a class here on that too, I think, used to, Faith-Filled Fitness. And I still look, even now, it doesn't show it, but when I go into a grocery store, if I see a particular candy bar or chips or something I want, I'll turn it over and look at how many calories it is. So that part stuck with me. Not enough is stuck with me, but it has. But anyway, we'll get this going real quick. I want to start us off with prayer. And before I do that, though, on your table, the little cards in front of you, that's our agenda coming up. Several of the dates haven't been set yet. The one that is next month when we have a Valentine's Day. But take one of those home with you, and it may show up here later. But that's for the events from now through May. And we'll get going here where they've got time to do what they need to do and do it properly. And I think it will be recorded live, so, be careful. They'll be there where other people can see it too later on if you wish to. Our dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of being able to get here together, Lord, tonight. God, we thank you for this ministry. We thank you, Lord, for all the people that serve in it. God, I thank you for all the men and women in the back that were preparing this food, putting it all together out of a heart of love for us tonight. And we do appreciate that. Now, God, I pray that you would take one of our cornerstones. Is we have fellowship, we have service, and we have education. This is education, fellowship, and the love of the Lord all wrapped into one. Now, God, tonight I just pray that you would be with us and touch us and bless us as we go forward. Okay.
Thanks again, guys, for being here. Thank you, Farrell. Thanks, Belinda, for putting this together, making me feel guilty so I would actually do this. So it's cool the way they put the night together. They get the old dumb guy to speak first, and then we get the smart young lady doctor to follow me up. So you definitely want to take notes. She's got a lot of cool stuff. Her and I we've done this before. And even before we started doing this, we've spent hours and hours and hours talking through the mysteries of the body and how God has designed what he has designed, and it's just truly amazing. So anyway, no degrees did I bring to the table. Still working on my GED, and so whenever I get it, and I'll be an East Jefferson Warrior graduate, I'm going straight to Zales Jewelers and get me one of them Warrior rings. So one day I'll get in front of the church and show my ring, but probably not anytime soon. But I spent most of my adult life really unhealthy. Usually most of my adult life I was living in the range of 375 to 400 pounds. That's kind of, I would bounce around there every now and then. So, about 12 years ago, at a men's retreat. Actually, men's retreat's coming up, so this is a plug for the men's retreat. We were up in Alexandria. I was kind of just sitting in the back of the room, kind of, half paying attention to what Keith was preaching. Usually that's kind of how Keith's preaching does for me. But and just something he said, just again, it wasn't even the main thrust of his message. Just arrested my heart. Just begin to expose the sin of gluttony. Just the control it had over my life. So anyway, that was about 12 years ago. And just begin to, as I, just begin to fight the battle, probably about a 2-year battle or so of just, not that I'm totally whatever, as you can tell, but about 2 years of just hard work, pursuing the Lord, begin to recognize issues, begin to recognize that God has a plan for us in this category. So anyway, through all that stuff, obviously met Ashley along the way before she was married, and we began to just have all sorts of conversations. That's why the whole Faithful Fitness thing got birthed years and years and years ago. So that's kind of how I got to this place, not through a whole bunch of whatever, not through nothing, just trying to figure out how can I honor God in this space in my life, and what does that mean? So just a couple things. This is a little bit of just me back in the day. I was probably doing about 390. I probably had lost about 10 pounds right there. You could tell I was a little thin. I always look back at these pictures and like, why did I wear an orange shirt? It's like, was I trying to stop traffic, or just what exactly was I thinking? Like a big giant pumpkin. And it wasn't Halloween time, as you could tell. It was Christmas there, so I'm not sure. Maybe I missed it. But anyway, this passage has just kind of been something that's lived in me. This whole thought that whether we eat or drink or whatever we do it for the glory of God. That doing it for the glory of God, that piece of honoring God, it just kind of got in me and began to just kind of fester in some ways and just marinate some ways, talk to guys about, that aspect. And it just really hit me that, if we're going to honor God in anything we do, it's going to take some work. It's going to need to be intentional. If we're going to honor our God, just think about when you've heard the challenges, or maybe you've sat through Frank's marriage course about Cherish, the course that he's done, or just anything. If we're going to honor God in our marriage, or we're going to honor God in our parenting, and we're going to honor God in the way that we steward our finances, those don't happen just because they happen. They happen out of intentionality. This is a space that if we're going to honor God in whatever we do, whatever we eat or we drink, it's no different. There's no difference if we're truly going to honor God in all we do. It's really interesting. Piper wrote an article, just typical John Piper, something about, I think it's called "Drinking Orange Juice for the Glory of God," something like that. And so this is just a quote from that article that I had got hold to years ago when I was kind of wrestling through this whole topic. And typical Piper, his little quote: "Is it sin to disobey the biblical commandment? Yes. So I draw this somber conclusion. It is sin to eat or drink or do anything not for the glory of God." In other words, sin is not just a list of harmful things, killing, stealing, etc. Sin is living God out of account in ordinary affairs of our life. So bringing this crazy thing that God has created for us to have an ability to honor Him, to honor the creator of the universe, to honor sent His Son to die for us while yet we were His enemies. All those things that we know about the bigness of God, He's created a way for us to honor Him in just our daily activities, the things that we drink, the choices we make about drinking, the choices we make about food, the choices we make about sleep. And we're going to talk about a few areas tonight. We're going to try to run through them quickly because we do want to spend some time interacting with you guys about it. But again, how can we honor God in our diet? How can we honor God in our sleep? How can we honor God can we truly honor God in how much water we consume on a daily basis? Did you, I mean, all those kinds of thoughts, the exercise piece, of course, nobody wants to talk about exercise. Ashley was quick to dump that topic on me. She's like, why don't you do that one? Because it's like, nobody wants to talk about that. She wants to talk about sleeping. Oh, nice. But it really is a really, really important topic. So anyway, we're going to let Ashley jump in. She's going to cover a couple topics. I'll come back and jump in. And then at the end, we're going to try to do a little audience interaction. We're going to try to do a little Q&A just to try to help. Hopefully just some of the thoughts that you're going to hear will just stir up some stuff in you. Yeah, and you guys have, if you think of a question or you need a note or whatever, there's some pads and pens on the tables. If you're like me, if something comes up by the time we get finished talking, you won't remember the question. So just jot it down real quick. Coop?
And for the record, Pete gave me a choice, which two I wanted. Well, and I chose the two I just enjoy talking about more. Exercise is hugely important, but I just don't enjoy talking about it as much. Thank you, Farrell, for the intro. You didn't have to read all that, but that was just a professional one I had written. And thank you, Pete, for inviting me. This is my passion. This is what I do for a living, and I absolutely love to talk about health and what it looks like practically. But more specifically, like Pete was talking about, how we can do it to honor God in these basic areas, right? All four of these things, well, for the most part, exercise, movement, right? We have to do all four of these things to live. We have to eat, we have to drink water, we have to sleep, and we have to move. It's just some basic foundations for life. So I'm gonna talk some spiritual application and a lot of practical application. And Pete's gonna chime in if he wants to just jump in and add anything. And like he said, we've been having these talks back when I was still in school. So it's been a long time in the making, and we've enjoyed these conversations over the years. How do I advance it, this one?
Yeah, the top.
Where do I point?
That way.
That way. All right, so I'm gonna talk about the importance of diet and sleep. And we will have time at the end for questions, so if you can just hold them till the end, or jot down your question. Okay, so 1 Corinthians chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. Or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own, for you were bought with a price. So glorify God in your body. Again, all those things we just mentioned, right? Just applying the fact that our bodies are on loan, right? They don't belong to us. They're God's. So, okay. Oh, this is smaller than I expected. Y'all can't see that, can you? When I was making it, the font didn't look small to me. Okay, I'll read it to you. So the first bullet says, a phenomenon I've observed as a Christian. As Christians, we can see conviction in different areas, right? Pete kind of alluded to this also. We can have convictions about alcohol. We can have convictions about smoking. We can have convictions about things that we do to our body. But I don't hear often convictions about what we're eating, right? What the food we're putting in our body. Pete, and I thank Pete, because Pete is one of those people speaking up. You just don't hear that conversation much around Christians. We're quick to label all these other things that we do to our bodies that don't honor God, but we don't ever talk about the thing we put in our body to sustain our life. And if we go back to that scripture, we can see that it's a command from God. Our bodies are not our own, they belong to Him. So we do have a responsibility to be good stewards of these bodies that are on loan to us. So the purpose of what I'm going to talk about, consider how we can better honor God by making healthier choices for our bodies, some practical ideas, and knowledge is power, right? Well, I think it is. So if you take home just one or two tidbits tonight, hopefully that will encourage you. That will give you some encouragement, maybe even some conviction to make some changes, even if it's just one thing that will help you honor God more. And I just threw this in just so you can kind of practically think as I'm going to talk about diet. Do you ever experience these things? Are you sluggish? Do you get sick often? Do you live in pain? Are you moody, irritable? Do you lack motivation? Do you have trouble sleeping? Well, have you ever wondered if food could be causing any of these problems? And have you ever stop to think what your food is doing when it goes inside of your body. So 3 times a day, this goes back to, hey, we have to eat to live, right? So 3 times a day, you're at least, most people eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. You're making a choice of what you're putting in your body. Things that can either promote health or things that are going to wear away at your health. And I just gave you a little picture of the digestive tract because just to kind of connect you more with what goes on. Food goes in your mouth and it goes through all these organ systems, tons of pathways. So much energy is used to make this process run. Okay, so are you putting a salad, which is breaking down and giving you the molecules you need to run the processes that are necessary for life? Or are you putting in things that your body has to go, ooh, what is this? We're gonna have to use a lot of energy to get this one out because everything we eat goes in, comes out, right? Or it gets utilized by the body if it is proper nutrition. Okay, so giving your body foods that are full of nutrients will give your body what it needs to function properly. Giving your body things that are nutrient depleted or full of chemicals will cause your body to begin to function improperly. Pete and I always talk about this, and if you ever went to Faith Filled Fitness or anything, labels, how important labels are. Now, I don't think you can see it as well because y'all are pretty far back. Pete, do I have a pointer?
I think so.
The bottom one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just moving it too fast. There it is. Okay, this is just a simple example of what I could think of quickly to put 2 comparing labels, right? So the one on the left is called a Larabar. The one on the right is a Nutri-Grain bar, right? Everybody's probably familiar with the Nutri-Grain bar. You may or may not be familiar with a Larabar. But the point I would like to make is the ingredients in the Larabar, 3 ingredients: dates, peanuts, salt. Do you know what all 3 of those ingredients are? Yes. Okay, look at all these. You may know some of them, but I'd probably have to tell you what half of them are because they're not straight up, here's a food item, right? So I don't know if y'all can see them or not, but the fact that there's a giant list kind of implies that there's a lot going on here, okay? And it's not all real food. Some of it's preservatives, some's artificial flavors. Look at the bottom, artificial flavor, red 40. I am not good with this, yeah. Okay, let's see what else. Some of this is vitamins they put in, corn syrup, sugar. Okay. I think I kind of hit on this. So which do you think your body can use? Obviously the one with the straightforward ingredients, right? So it's really important, again, Pete talks about this frequently, the importance of reading labels. Know what you're putting in your body, right? Sometimes it's a matter of you're in the grocery store aisle, flip over a few labels. Pick the one with the ingredients you understand or the one that has the least amount of ingredients because then it's going to have the least amount of preservatives and chemicals in it. And really just pay more attention, just become more aware of what are you putting in your body, okay? Marketing and labeling laws. Pete wanted me to speak on this. The outside of a package, there are labeling laws that can allow a company to advertise in a certain way, but then you turn it over and you read the ingredients and it's kind of a little, that was misleading. But they have laws that allow them that it only has to contain X percentage and they can call it and claim that it's something. So again, all the more reason to turn things over and read the back to know what's in your food. I always point people more than just, calories, sugar content, read the ingredients. Look for real food, put real food in your body because that's what your body can use. That's gonna use less energy and then your body can have energy for all the other things it needs to do to keep you moving and functioning and feeling good. So what do we find typically in our food? A lot of things that you cannot use or require a lot of energy in order to use. There's a lot of chemicals, artificial sweeteners, preservatives, artificial colors, flavorings, dyes, MSG, which is monosodium glutamate, nitrates, nitrites, the list goes on. Every time you turn over a new label, there's new things in it. Okay, these are, again, just another example of reading labels. 2 common things. You may even have these in your pantry at home, right? So I'm just going to point out, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it starts good, right? Carrots, cabbage, onion, leeks, peas, corn syrup, partially hydrogenated. Whenever you see that word, it's not good. Soybean oil, monosodium glutamate, MSG. See, they don't put MSG, because if you saw the letters MSG, you'd be like, oh, I don't want this. But you need to know that it's monosodium glutamate. Disodium inositate, disodium guanylate, caramel color, natural flavors. Natural flavors is another one of those labeling things that they can put that, and it can have, they don't have to disclose what's in it, up to a certain percentage. So again, when you flip over a label and you can't understand half of it, or it doesn't sound like it's food, it isn't. Here we have, look, the word modified, so they've done something in a lab to the food, okay? Again, MSG, enriched, they've done something to the food, not in its natural state. Soy protein isolate is, again, manipulated. Phosphates. Okay, and my point is not to be pro one company and against another. This is strictly an example of labels. So, this one, you can see the ingredients, right? Water, tomatoes, tomato puree, spinach, carrots, green beans. You go all the way down the list, and you know every single one of those items, right? Well, guess what your body's going to utilize? It's going to utilize this way better. I guarantee you'd feel much better after you eat a meal with real food in it than you do all the other stuff. Okay. Sugar. Sugar is always an important topic, and I'm kind of just skimming some basics. So I don't know if I'm going too fast or too slow, but I'm trying to just cover some real big basics. Obviously, the area of diet, nutrition is huge. So these are all different words for sugar. I don't know if you can see them all, but there's a lot of them. Some of them you recognize, and some of them you don't recognize. Now, what's wrong with sugar? Well, sugar, here's some other keywords for contains a lot of sugar. Reduced fat, low fat, fat-free, reduced fat. All that means they add more sugar because they got to make it taste good. So they pull the fat out, which does implicate taste, and they put a whole lot of sugar in it. All right, here are some problems with sugar. It has no nutritious value, really, okay? You eat an apple, you can utilize what's in that apple in your body. Sugar, it just doesn't offer any nutrition. It's high in calories and it doesn't offer anything beneficial. It's very inflammatory, makes the body more acidic. It significantly decreases the immune system, can promote insulin resistance, diabetes, increase your triglycerides, your cholesterol, and then just based on how you feel, fatigue, brain fog, on and on and on. The list goes on and on. This is just some main ones. Mood changes. It actually increases your cravings and need and want for more sugar, whether you realize it or not. Okay, here's a little fun fact. So some of these slides, I kind of took some of the main stuff from a talk we did for Faith-Filled Fitness a few years ago, just to grab some main points about diet. But a typical soda has 12 teaspoons of sugar, okay? So what is a soda? It's essentially sugar, right? Liquid sugar. And just to think about this, how I mentioned your immune system, one teaspoon of sugar can decrease the functioning of your immune system for up to 5 hours. So just think about that as far as if you get sick a lot, if you don't feel well, a cold and flu season, and not just in soda, sugar in general, so other items you might be eating. Here's another little fun fact about sugar. In 1890, the average American ate 5 pounds of sugar in a year. And now, well, this was a few years ago when I did this slide, the average American eats 150 pounds of sugar a year. Yeah. You know, back in the day, sugar was the rich man's food. That's why kings and whoever got diabetes, because they're the ones that could afford the sugar and eat all the sugar. It was not a common person's illness. So the encouraging news about sugar, or about anything, if you have an issue with eating a certain thing, you can't quit the habit, you know it's not good for you, your taste buds regenerate. That is exciting news. I think it takes about 21 days. So you can, if you have some discipline initially, you can actually regenerate your taste buds and lose a taste for something. You know, Pete and I were discussing before how, like, once you give up sugar and you stop sweetening your drinks and you stop eating sweet things, he likes to say, I never knew a tomato was sweet. And it's true. Your taste buds get refined and they start to pick up other flavors and other tastes. And then something like sweet tea or something, it no longer tastes good. It tastes, yeah, anyway. But that is encouraging, that you can break habits. You can, because God allowed your body to regenerate and you get new taste buds. All right. Pete, would you like to add anything in the diet category? Thanks. All right. I have much less slides for sleep, though sleep is hugely important. So let's go through that. God's design, right? God created our bodies to need sleep. There's a very small percentage of the population that can run on like 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night and still function and be healthy. It's very, very small. Everyone needs 7 to 9 hours, almost as a blanket statement, right? But just thinking about, like, this is something God created. That's how our bodies heal it. That's how we get refreshed in energy. That's how we can better serve God, by getting rest, and then he gives us the energy we need to go about and do what we need to do. So here are some other reasons sleep is important. Again, some of this was pulled from Faith Fitness, so some of it does have more of that diet connection. But for health, general health, weight control, less than 6 hours a night does increase the risk for obesity. Lack of sleep can actually cause different hormones in your body to make you hungrier throughout the day. Lack of sleep weakens your immune system, affects your mood, your emotions, and we could go on and on and on, right? Like, I'm sure if I asked each one of you, what happens when you don't get a good night's sleep? Or what happens when you go a few nights without a good night's sleep? You can name a list of things, right? The other part that I always like to talk to people about is the rhythm God created for our sleep. He gave us a hormone called melatonin to help us fall asleep and help keep us asleep. And he gave us a hormone called cortisol to wake us up in the morning. These are on a rhythm. And it is no surprise that God designed our body on a rhythm. He is a God of order, right? So we need to encourage our bodies that 8 to 10 p.m., that's when you make cortisol. A lot of people will say, oh, you know what, I'm just not tired, or I get a little tired, I watch TV, and then I get up and do stuff. Well, you likely are fighting the natural hormone surge. You blow through it and you get your second win, right? But if you can be aware more that that's the time that your body naturally should be unwinding and getting ready for bed. But I just love when I think about that. Like, he designed our bodies, right? He said sleep was important, so he gave us a hormone to make it happen, right? And we don't get to choose, like, oh, I'll just sleep 4 a.m. to 12 noon. You know, I got my 8 hours. Yeah, well, you're fighting a natural rhythm he created, so there's going to be implications from that. All right, Pete. See, I didn't have too much on sleep. Sorry. Diet is my passion to talk about.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashley. Great. Yeah, a couple thoughts. Yeah, please clap for her. Yeah, you know, a couple thoughts that as I've talked with people and connect with people and try to work through some of these categories, you know, I've kind of adopted this kind of good, better, best approach. Because, you know, our bodies, I don't know, it's got this weird thing of adapting to, even when we mistreat it, it adapts to that. And in some ways, it gets addicted to the mistreatment. If you know, just think about some of the, you know, Ashley was going through that ingredients list in the Nutri-Grain bar or whatever. All those laboratory created flavors, your body gets addicted to it. There's a reason why, you know, I haven't been to McDonald's in I don't know how many years. I still can taste the McRib. McRib was my thing. Like, that was my go-to, man. That was like a snack, like a 2 o'clock snack. You know, that was the McRib or the filet of fish or the Big Mac or the quarter pounder with cheese or especially their French fries. Like, that thing is in my head. Like, I can still taste and I still crave that thing. When I drive by McDonald's, dude, I want to just whip in there real quick and get me something. You know, my go-to was the 2 filet of fish, a large fry, and a Diet Coke. That was my go-to, man. That was like every time. Or when the McRib came around, of course, we pushed the filet. But so our body gets, and listen, you know, when I started stopping the fast food thing in particular, my body was not happy. My body had gotten addicted to the junk that I was putting in it. And so we've got to be aware of that. So that's why I like the good, better, best. Because, you know, sometimes you can do the cold turkey thing if God gives you grace for that and faith for that. But quite often, it's a weaning process. If you've trained your body to sleep 4 hours, like you can literally train your body to harm itself. So you can train your body to sleep 4 hours a night. You can do that. You really can. You can train your body not to get sleepy till 1 o'clock in the morning and wake up at 5 o'clock. Like, you can do that. It's not good for you. So to untrain that, it's not like, okay, tonight I'm going to sleep 10 hours. Like, that's not how that works. It just doesn't. So we've got to figure out some things, and we've got to look for the good, better, best. Maybe we get to 5 hours, and then maybe we look at 5.5 hours or whatever. Same thing with exercise, same thing with diet stuff. You know, what can we do? Like some, you know, eating really healthy in America is really expensive. But what can we do? You know, what can we do? Buying, you know, fresh produce and fresh vegetables, all that stuff's cool. Especially if you go and you get the organic stuff, which for some reason it doesn't look as pretty and it doesn't last as long as the stuff, which obviously there's a reason why, but it's the good, better, best. Like, what can we do? You know, can we get from, you know, if we're eating just, you know, French fries or whatever, let's say we move to canned spinach. Well, canned spinach is good, but it's not better and it's not best because it's full of a whole bunch of stuff on the back of it unless you're buying it organic. But then maybe we can move to frozen spinach, and then maybe we can move to fresh spinach, and so there's more preparation, there's more available, there's more planning, because obviously you put the can in the pantry, and you know 5 years from now you can bust that thing open and it tastes great. But there's a reason why it does that, okay? So anyway, so I just love that thought that where we at, we have to start where God has us. You know, when I started this, and I think I weighed in at 405 or whatever. I remember when I did it, and that's where I started. And I had all kind of issues. I remember the headaches and the shakes and all this, like I was addicted, and I wasn't doing drugs, I wasn't doing whatever, but I was addicted to all this stuff. And I remember, man, it just the headaches. I mean, my head would pound like somebody was beating me with a hammer. And at first I thought, something's wrong with me. And then I began to clue in, and it's like I'm detoxing from the junk that I had put in my body. So anyway, it was a good, better, best. Where I am at, if the scale says 405, that's what it is. So how do I get a little better? And how do I get a little better? And then how do I get to the place, you know, when I remember the first time I got on a treadmill. We had a treadmill on the second floor of our house when we lived in Destrehan. I remember the first time I got on it. I'd probably lost, 80, 90 pounds. So so we went, they had a little place down the road, bought a nice little treadmill, and, you know, mounted the TV and, you know, going to watch it, whatever, and watch the news when I'm on the treadmill. And I remember getting off the treadmill, and it's like, I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to get downstairs. I'm going to have to call Carrie to help me get down the steps. Like my body was like, I mean, literally. And it took me a little while, but, you know, whatever. Finally, just because of my pride, I wouldn't ask for help. But eventually I got down. I think I even scooted on my behind a couple of steps just to make sure I didn't fall over and crack my head open. So anyway, but you got to start somewhere, wherever that is. And we look toward the goal. It's not how long we can stay on the treadmill, how many, whatever. It's honoring God. And again, that honoring God takes some education. It takes some intentionality. And so you got to start somewhere. You just do. So anyway, we'll talk real quick about water, and then we'll fly through the exercise piece, which nobody wants to talk about that piece anyway. So, you know, Ashley was talking about, the body and the body functions. And, obviously we've all heard the term metabolism because we hate the guy that we think's got that really fast metabolism and he can just eat whatever and the scale never moves. And for years, I worked with a bunch of those guys that had really, Matt Mason, Keith Collins, even Pastor Peter. He still has it, but back in these younger days, had it even more. I'd go to lunch almost every week with these guys, and he's got, fried shrimp, French fries, whatever. I'm trying to order some old broke down salad. All the lettuce is shriveling, and I'm swelling up like a balloon, like I done got stung by some kind of bee that swole me up. So we all understand metabolism, and we all understand those things, but just like it's like an engine. It's like the engine that runs inside of it. I don't want to get into all the technical stuff, but just like a car engine, it produces a byproduct, like that byproduct, and that byproduct is toxic to us. And so there's a way to get it out, and there's really only one way to get it out, and that's through the consumption of water. It'd be like taking your car and starting it up and plugging the exhaust pipe. That exhaust needs to get out. Well, those chemicals, those toxins that get created in our body, they need to get out. So water is really, really important. And everybody always asks it's funny, the first question most people ask, well, I read an article and said if you drink too much water, it could be harmful for you. And yeah, there are some places where overconsumption of water is a problem. For most of us, it's probably not. But there are some things, there is a place where you can do that, especially if you've got some health issues, if you've got kidney issues or congestive heart issues. Sometimes some really strong antidepressants and anti-anxiety medicine sometimes is not cool to have too much water when you have. So there's some things, and again, everything we're talking about, especially in the exercise or some of these categories, you want to connect with your doctor. If you want some kind of serious meds, especially, people always have a lot of questions about supplements and stuff. A lot of those answers need to come out of what you're taking. If you're on a bunch of meds and like some of that stuff, it just doesn't play well with some meds, blood pressure stuff, all those kinds of things. So anyway, water consumption, you just got to do it. There's not a whole lot we can talk about. We can talk about and get in the weeds about it, but generally, women, again, it depends on the activity level in your life. If you're out in the sun all day and working in your garden, whatever, obviously that's a different thing. If you're working out on a regular basis, it'd be different. But generally, 3 or 4 liters of water a day for a lady is what the all the major guys, the Mayo Clinic, the American Heart Association, all those guys kind of live in that space. For men, it's usually 4 or 5 liters of water a day, just generally, especially folks kind of our age. Most of us aren't, we're not training for a marathon. We're just doing what we need to do. So that's kind of a general rule. Obviously, you can look into it more. We can talk more about it specifically, but that's a good general rule. But it just helps in so many categories. Talking about the sleep category, water helps us sleep. Water helps our brain function. Quite often, if you ever been around a person that's had dehydration, one of the signs is they can't think clearly. It affects the way, again, we can train ourselves to live in a state of dehydration. Like, we can do that. Like, people literally, you'll go to the doctor and one of the signs, and not, again, this isn't the only reason for this, but quite often, people, when they go to take blood, they can't take their blood because they're dehydrated. And that's not the only reason why, but so people can literally live in a state of dehydration. We are abusing our bodies, and God's made our body in this amazing way. Well, it will adapt, and it will figure out how to live. And it may not be the best, and you may be moody, and you may be cloudy in head. You guys probably don't know this, but, after losing a whole bunch of weight and just getting off a bunch of meds I was on, I became a real nice guy, just much kinder and gentler. Look at Pastor Peter. He could even say amen to that. Maybe. But, God didn't design us to be cranky people, but quite often our crankiness comes out of our diet, our lack of exercise, our lack of water intake, our lack of sleep is a huge one. Huge. So anyway, all this stuff, God made us. That's why I believe it's so important for us to to rest in this space of, I need to honor God. I need to figure out what God's called me to do in this area. So anyway, go ahead.
Just a few things I was thinking as Pete was talking. Our body is made mostly of water. So how can your body do what it needs to do all day long, all night long, if it doesn't have the basic building blocks it requires to run, right? And just another thing in relation to hunger, often thirst and hunger can get confused. You might think you're hungry, but really you go drink a large glass of water and you'll find that you are actually thirsty and you needed to replenish some of your water and you didn't need the snack after all. So just something to think about.
Yep. Yeah, and just all sorts of different indications for dehydration. But again, it's that being intentional and paying attention. Do you know how much water or how much fluids you drink in a day? Do you know, if we had to take a test right now, how many people could say, I drink X amount of these bottles of water a day, or I drink whatever? Quite often, most people have no idea how much they drink. But again, and how many diuretics are you consuming? How much caffeine are you consuming? All that stuff begins to work against our hydration issues. Again, it's good, better, best. Maybe you're not ready to get off some of those caffeines and some of those other things that may dehydrate us a little bit. Okay, maybe, whatever. I don't think, whatever, but you got to take that into account. Like, how do I replenish what this diuretic is taking out of my body? You get what I'm saying? It's like, be intentional, be purposeful, pay attention, all these things. The dreaded exercise conversation. Exercise is exercise. God made our bodies to move. My son had a real bad back injury, and he went to see one of these orthopedic kind of sports things, and the lady told me, says, motion is lotion. Because, he had heard, he had gotten all this counsel about laying on your ice pack, don't get up, put some heat, and which is cool at some point. But our body, God made, he intended for us to move. Again, our bodies will adapt. They will adapt. But it's usually not a good adaptation, especially as we get older. The age in this room, exercise is probably more important than ever for so many different reasons. Fall prevention exercises, crazy important. Crazy important for us to even know that term, and there's exercises to help us. Like we need to know that, and it's so easy to find this stuff now. YouTube is full of really, really, really good things to do. You can take that chair right there, and again, what we want to live in this low impact world, but you can take a chair like this and do all the exercise you need. You just really can, and you will be sweating, and your heart rate will get high, and you will wish you never heard me talk about doing a workout in a chair. I mean, it's a legit low impact workout. But again, it's being mindful and it's being intentional and understanding what exercise is. Some people clean their house a lot, and that's cool. We love that. I love a clean house. I love that. But it's not always exercise. One thing that's really, really cool about our bodies is if we do something, the same thing over and over and over again, our body begins to adapt. It begins to make that movement or that exercise easier. It's crazy when you look at the science of this. When you read through all these studies that they do, that it may take 400 muscles to do this, and if you do that over and over again in a couple weeks, the body gets it down to like 25 or 30 muscles that you're engaging. So that's good to know. It's good to know that some exercise, something that we're doing, just because we want to call it exercise, it's not exercise. It's something that we do, and it's good. It's movement. Walking in the grocery store. I developed this, I developed this thing, and my wife doesn't always appreciate it, but I park the furthest away from every building I go to. I just do, every time. And now it's just a habit. And it's really good as you get older, because usually when you park furthest away, you park in the same spot. Nobody else is there. So I don't have to remember where my car is. I don't have to come out and be like, where did I park? Like, I know exactly where it is. It's way over there, and there's nobody else around it. And so it helps me as I got older to not being able to remember. Like, I don't have to remember. I know exactly where it is. When I go to Sam's, this is where it is. When I go to Costco, when I go to whatever. So just those kinds of thoughts. But the key to, especially as we get older, would be another one of those toxins purifying aspects would be the sweating piece. We've got to get our heart rate up enough to sweat. And so that can be done in a chair very easily. That can be done in all sorts of ways. But you got to get to that place. But you got to be careful, especially as you get older. So I think I got a slide for this. I'm not sure about getting to our target heart rate. This is really important, guys, especially if you haven't exercised a lot, or even if you have a little bit. As we get older, you just need to pay attention to this. And it's really easy to pay attention to this kind of stuff now because of technology. If you go to a gym or if you have a treadmill in your house or whatever, typically those things, they have built-in heart monitors. If not, you got your little crazy Fitbit on. It tells you all kind of cool stuff. Or you can put the old school strap around your chest. Those are always the best, most accurate. Makes you feel like you're really doing something. But when you put one of them things on, you're like, you got something going on. But anyway, a good target heart rate, it's good to know what that is for you. And again, if you're on a bunch of meds and you've got some heart problems, and this is a consult with your doctor before you begin to do this kind of stuff. But this formula is super helpful. I use the 75% number. The American Heart Association goes from 50 to 85% would be where you need to be at. I always like to just use the 75% to just be a little, especially if you're just getting started. And it just makes it makes the exercise process, because what you don't want to do, again, it's the good, better, best. You don't want to go, I'm going to join a gym and I got an hour and a half a day. I'm going to kill this thing, man. I'm loading up these way. Well, you're going to do that about once, and then you won't be able to walk for about 2 weeks. And then you're not going to go back. So let's not do that. Let's figure out what we can do. The good, better, best. We got to start where we're at. Typically, if you're starting from scratch, your target rate, you're going to get to that target rate within seconds sometimes, just because you're just not used to the cardio type activity. But anyway, warm-ups before that stuff, super important. Don't jump on a treadmill without trying to warm up, without trying to do a little stretching. If you're going to do some weight, moving some weight around as well. All that stuff's super important because injuring ourselves at our age it's really, really easy, guys. It just is. So we've got to be patient. We've got to take our time. And you got to find something that works for you. This chair workout thing, you may be like, I ain't doing it. So if that doesn't work for you, then don't do it. Like, I go to the gym. I don't go to the gym for any other reason than 1 Corinthians 10:31. It's like, I just want to honor God. I don't really enjoy it. I don't really have time for it. But that works for me. If I said, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna do the chair thing. I'm gonna do that about 2 or 3 times, and I'm just not gonna do it anymore. So everything works for different people. We're all wired very different. So whatever it takes for you to get into a routine. I've got my little whatever, certain clothes that I wear to the gym, certain shoes I wear to the gym, certain time that I go, certain kinds of workout that I do, and it works for me. But going to the gym for you, baby, may be like, I'm not going to the gym. That's intimidating. All them people staring at me, which all them people ain't staring at you, but you think that when you walk in. But you've got to find something that works for you. Some people have gyms, and I know Frank and Annette, they got a gym in their house. That works for them. If I had a gym in my house, I just wouldn't use it. I'd hang clothes all over it or do something. I don't know what I'd do. It just won't, that doesn't work in my head. We had that in our house, and we hung clothes on it. That's what we did. And eventually we gave it all away. But whatever works for you, mornings, evenings, lunch break, night, whatever works for you, you've got to find a way to move. You just do. You just got to find it. So the exercise piece, the fall prevention piece, guys, the fall prevention piece for us is huge. There's a reason why, and maybe you've noticed this, like when you trip, like if your foot gets caught on something, you ever You ever see how slow your foot comes back? Like, my foot used to move faster than that. It just really did. Like my reflexes were better. And some of that's a reflex thing, and some of that's just a muscle thing. Like our bodies, they're made to deteriorate. God made us that way. At the age we are, God made us deteriorate. He's calling us home. Little by little, he's calling us home. And this may be heretical, whatever. Pastor Peter can correct me later, but I just think we need to live like that's not the case. You know what I mean? We need to live like, God, you've got work for me to do. This kingdom, for whatever reason, God's chosen us, people, fallen people that have been saved and have a love and a heart for him and his people. He's chosen for us to move the kingdom of God forward. Well, how in the heck are we going to move the kingdom of God forward when we can't get out of bed? Or we can't get on the floor? Or we can get on the floor, but then we can't get up off the floor. And we don't have any stamina. We don't have any energy. And we just feel cranky all the time. I don't know about you. I don't want to be around a cranky guy all the time. And I do work with some of those guys that are cranky. But it's like, I know God's sovereign and God knows the day he's calling each of us home. No question. Not trying to think we can adjust the sovereignty of God in those categories. But he's called us to honor him in everything we do. So let's figure out how to honor him as it relates to taking care of ourselves and taking care of our bodies and being effective for the kingdom of God, and whatever that looks like. And yes, there's injuries and there's health concerns and whatever, our body begins to break down. But there's things we can do, as Ashley's talking about, and the sleep piece, the water piece, the diet piece. Again, just recognize. And again, you'll pick up on these marketing. These guys make this stuff look like this is so healthy for you. And it's got the fresh, nice, slick label on the front. You turn that sucker around, and it's got 97 different ingredients. And high fructose corn syrup is the first one, but it looks really sweet and cool, So we just got to learn those kinds of things. We've got to be intentional. But anyway, the exercise piece, you just got to do it. It's really not that hard. You can do it in your house. Fall prevention stuff, it all works on developing our lower body. This is what's going to stop us from falling, from our chest down, our core, our glutes, and all our quads, and all this stuff in our legs. Like all this stuff in our legs, all those muscles, those are all meant to be shock absorbers. God designed it that way, so our joints wouldn't take a beating. But our joints do take a beating. And quite often it's because our muscle mass just begins to deteriorate, and we don't do anything about it to try to help it. And so then we start having problems with our knees and our hips. And some of that stuff's genetic. Some people they don't have their joints just for whatever reason, they're just not as strong as other folks, and they wear differently. But the whole movement piece, the whole fall prevention piece, it comes out of just consistency. Not rocket science. You don't have to start deadlifting, weight. I mean, you don't want to do any of those things, but there are things you can do. Like you can, like Ashley's talked about, God's made our body to function, and it's made our body to heal itself in some ways. It's made our body to learn how to not fall, and we've got to develop those things. So anyway, there's lots of different ways to do that, and we can talk about that. I know we're getting a little late, but you can look up stuff on YouTube. There's a site that you can subscribe to. I think it's called Silver Sneakers or some crazy name like that. It's got all kind of cool stuff that you can subscribe to, and they change up the workouts every month. And some of the stuff you can tune in live with and all. So again, what works for you? Like all that stuff wouldn't work for me. I ain't watching no YouTube video and sitting at home and sitting on my chair and picking up bottles of water to exercise. I'm not doing all that stuff. But I'll go to the gym and just do my little thing and get up out of there. And that's what I do. I get in, my routine. Again, I think the routine, at least for me, it's very helpful. On Mondays, I go to the gym and I listen to the sermon. On Wednesdays, I go to the gym and I listen to the School of the Word. On Fridays, I go to the gym and I listen to a leadership podcast. That's my thing. I don't have to guess. I don't have to figure out nothing. Then I change my routine every couple months so that my body doesn't get adjusted to what I'm doing. It's just simple. It just really is. It's just get in your car and do it. Or get you a chair. Or talk to Frank and build you a gym in your house. Whatever that looks like. Whatever that needs to happen. And again, it's good, better, best. You start somewhere. And maybe, listen, I know the gym thing is not for everybody, so I'm not trying to push that. It just works for me. But what's working for you? If we're going to honor God in this, something's got to work. We got to figure that out. And maybe you figure it out together. Maybe you talk to you. And a lot of people I need a buddy to go with me to work out. I don't want to work out with nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, I go to the gym, I don't speak to nobody. You know? I just want to get out of here. But I feel like I need to be here because I need to honor the Lord in this area. And when I get on the ground, I want to be able to get up. And I got to go up and down those steps 100 times a day. I want to be able to do that without passing out when I get to the top. I love going down. It's coming up part. I think I'm going to start taking the elevator up and taking the steps down and be like, but it's just, so anyway. Ashley, you want something to say before we open it up for Q&A?
Yeah, I was just having a thought as Pete was talking, something along the line of this whole idea of honoring God with these basic things that our body needs to function and to live. And I just think about my personal walk and how when I'm eating well, when I'm going to bed earlier, when I'm eating well and I'm sleeping and I'm drinking water, exercising, my time with the Lord is much more, my brain's clearer, I can think better. And when I'm reading, I'm understanding better, I can get up in the morning, which is the time before my kids, which is really hard to do if I'm going to bed earlier, then that time becomes more meaningful. And God uses that. So I think like Pete's saying, there has to be some initiative, but as we desire to honor God in these things, he's going to meet us there. And we're going to find that those things really become, our spiritual walk just gets so much deeper because we're feeling better to do what God's calling us to do. And sure, God is sovereign over all, so he can do what he needs to do regardless of your circumstances, right? But my personal experience is I have found, my relationship with him just gets so much deeper by honoring him in these ways.
Water is. So this is a good evening tonight. I need it. I think all of us need it. Hopefully you'll be with us the next time. I think Valentine's Day, Farrell, wherever you are. I think it's a sign-up time, isn't it, or whatever it is. So, okay, yeah, sign them up. So, again, so glad to see all of you with us tonight. Let's pray as we prepare to leave. And when we do pray, after we pray, get to know there are a lot of you who don't know a lot of you. Okay? There's a lot of you who don't know a lot of you. So y'all just spend a moment, meander around, and don't go to the person you know. Do that tonight. Ignore the person. Ignore your friend. Seriously. And let's go talk to someone either we have seen once or we don't really know at all. I mean, some of you don't know who Mike Palumbo is, so you need to go meet the guy. He's strange. Get to know him. So, things like this need to happen among us. Father, thank you so much. Father, we thank you that you have provided everything for life and godliness, not only in the spiritual realm, but you provided everything we need to have in the physical realm. Father, what has happened, obviously, is that mankind has polluted it. But Father, you can teach us. People like Pete, people like Ashley. You train them, you teach them. And then they bring a word to us that, if we will abide by it, will begin to make us physically better people, to enjoy you, as Ashley said, primarily, then to enjoy one another and to be about your kingdom business. So, Father, thank you for gathering us tonight. Father, for those who couldn't come, and several we know could not come, Father, we just pray for the mercy of your presence, of your goodness, of your healing. Father, and those who are among us tonight Father, we know that there are health issues among us. Father, in your mercy, would you touch each person who has a physical need tonight? Would you do that and cause them to realize, God has ministered to me tonight so that your name may be praised. So, Father, thank you again. Send us home in safety and a good night's rest. In Jesus' name, amen. Meet other people.